Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Help me out, my friend. First of all, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Been a while.
Ah, it's good to see you. What's going on here with Rubio? I mean,
well, look, we haven't had comprehensive tax reform in 31 years. I think this is when you have a 52-seat majority, everyone's looking for their opportunity to get their issue highlighted, their issue addressed. At the end of the day, Marco Rubio is going to be a vote for us. He is not going to let this moment escape us, and he understands how important tax reform is. But I think he, like a lot of other senators, are making sure that they get their voice heard before this is done.
Mike Lee is partnering with him, I guess, on this.
There's
he's
a couple others.
Corker is.
I think Corker's probably one that I would say is gone.
This is what I like about what President Trump does. He forces everybody to put their cards on the table.
Yeah, and
I mean, you know where everybody is now. Corker, like, I always knew that Corker basically just couldn't stand Trump, didn't want to work with him, and was going to subvert a lot of his agenda. And indeed, right down to the end, Corker's doing that.
You know what's interesting, though? But the big takeaway that I look at in a day like today when everyone's horse trading is how important that Alabama seat was.
Yep.
How important our majority is, because what this comes down to is we head into 2018. If Chuck Schumer's the leader, we're not going to be having a debate about what tax credits or how much more tax relief people are getting. This is why making sure that the president maintains a majority in the House and Senate is crucial to keeping the president's agenda moving forward.
And you think of John McCain, who's in the hospital suffering from glioblastoma treatment and what it does to your body, and Thad Cochran is ailing. He's the senator from Mississippi. Remember, the Republicans rushed in there to stave off that Chris McDaniel, that primary challenger a few years ago. And I think a lot of the populists, including Bannon and others, thought, wait a second, Cochran's 76 years old. It's time to get a younger person in there. And you could kind of play that game of, Moore was a mistake, but, maybe Cochran was a mistake because you could have a younger, more vibrant senator in there as well. It plays both ways.
Well, right now we got to concentrate on getting 50 votes for this tax bill so that the American people can enjoy the fruits of that.
What about Paul Ryan? He says next year is his last year. Is that because he sees a Republican wipeout?
I want to stop you right there for a second, because I think when you say this story was a Politico story, the president called Paul Ryan and said, hey, I need you to stay and be a partner of mine and help drive the agenda forward. And Paul comes out and says, I want to stay. I've committed to getting this agenda done. Paul Ryan at heart's a policy guy who finally sees a Republican Senate, and a Republican president, and knows that he can achieve some of those policy goals that he's worked tirelessly for so long. So I think one of the traps that we as conservatives have to stop getting into is every time Politico or the New York Times throws out some clickbait, that we immediately run around, assume it's true, and start planning around it. Paul came out today after the president called him and said he's committed to staying. He wants to get this agenda.
Do you think there's no truth to the rumor?
I think, look, everybody in public office or everyone who's been around this for a long time, thinks about when they're going to get out or what the circumstances are.
I thought about it a couple of weeks ago. And I apologize every night. I'm like, no, I'm just teasing.
You got a great show.
Politics,
but I think
it's a grind. Politics is a grind, and he's a guy who's done it since he was 25 years old.
And it takes a toll on your family, the commute stuff. He's got a lot to be proud of, but I think he really sees the next few years as an opportunity to get all of these lifelong policy goals achieved.
But if the Republicans get wiped out next year, Paul Ryan's not going to want to sit here
if they get wiped out, then he's minority leader.
Yeah.
But I think he recognizes that the president's agenda is what's going to keep the Republicans in power, and he wants to be there to fulfill that.
Are they close now? I mean, closer?
Look, I think everybody understands that the president has an agenda that the Republican base is highly supportive of, and they want to work with him. And I think the president gets that. He's grown into this job as someone who's an outsider and a disruptor. He's starting to learn that some of these folks that have spent a lot more time.
You can't fight everybody at once.
Right. But he's getting along and he's getting things done, and this will be a big win for this president and this country.
I know you know Omarosa. I know her a little bit from the White House days, and it was a big deal today. She was on Good Morning America, and she had this to say. Let's watch.
As the only African-American woman in this White House, as a senior staff and assistant to the president, I have seen things that have made me uncomfortable, that have upset me, that have affected me deeply and emotionally, that has affected my community and my people. And when I can tell my story, it is a profound story that I know the world will want to hear.
She is going to be leaving the White House on January 20th, and it was a big focus of the White House briefing today. It's like they never talk about Omarosa, but today, like, well, why is she being paid through January 20th? What is it, like $1,500? I mean, like, what do you? But anyway, what's going on there? Do you know any insights?
I don't, but I think.
Why was she hired? Do you think?
I don't know. But I think it's important that.
Does she have any qualifications to work in the White House?
I think
I like her. I mean, she seems nice to me.
I think that, look, she was very loyal to the president.
She campaigned for him.
And I think the president brought a lot of people who wanted to fulfill his agenda, and that's his prerogative as president-elect at the time. I wish her the best, but I'm not really sure what.
But she has a story to tell. Did you see any part of her story?
I don't.
Give me something here. You saw something.
Well, look,
she's a very charismatic person, very colorful, charismatic individual. She's big personality. I kind of like that, but some people can't take that.
I will let you leave it at that.
Do you miss it? Do you miss the rush? I mean, it was exhausting.
It was exhausting.
I've talked to you throughout a lot of that time, and it is a 19, 20-hour day.
Yeah, 7 days a week.
And you never sleep, and you never get any privacy.
Right.
You have a little bit of privacy back?
A little. It's growing. I mean this, though. It was truly an honor to do this, and I was proud to be part of helping the president move his agenda forward. I love being on the outside. I love being able to be supportive from this thing. It's definitely a lot less stressful. So I look forward to doing a lot of other opportunities. You've got a book coming out.
I know. I'm excited about your book.
Good.
Do you think that this year, when we look back at it objectively, this year will be seen as a successful year for this president, given where the economy is, given where consumer confidence is, deregulatory efforts?
I think I do. And I think especially if we can get this tax reform done. But a lot of the things that he's done in terms of regulatory measures to peel back, to get business booming again, to get people hired, all of those economic indicators, housing starts, consumer confidence, et cetera, are going through the roof. And I think when people look back objectively, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, they're going to say this was a real economic powerhouse of a year, and it was the president's policies and initiatives that really got the economy booming again. We came in and people mocked us for talking about 3% growth, and now we're on the path to that's become now the baseline.
He needs to get the credit for that, and he's not getting the credit.
That's right.
I think he will, but we need happy voters going into 2018. Sean, great to see you,
Merry
my
Christmas.
friend. Merry Christmas, and I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you.
You got to come on radio and TV.